All right, we're moving through the day here, and now I'm joined by Will Krueger for the rest of the afternoon through the top 8. Will, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We've had some cool decks today. We had, like Becky mentioned when she was on her way out, the Pox deck was super exciting to see
Yeah.
it kind of smash the blue-red tempo deck. But I'm in the mood we need some spicy stuff. We need to get this afternoon really cooking. So let's do, and take a look real quick at Will's deck today. And it's traditional stock Eldrazi-tron. Okay, let's go ahead and get that out of here. We don't need that. Nobody's interested, trust me.
Yeah.
Will, what's an exciting deck that's kind of showing up on Modern now post bannings that caught your eye?
Something exciting that isn't Eldrazi-tron, because to
Right,
me
exactly.
this is exciting. To me, Matter Reshaper is exciting. I just like paying 3 mana for 3/2s. It's just right up my alley.
Yeah, and yet you don't even really play that much limited, right?
No.
That should be your window. That's your alley. 3 mana 2/2s.
Yeah. I do want to get better at limited. That's something that I need to improve on. But yeah, I do think this deck would be okay. But as far as like cool goes, I saw somebody won the Modern Challenge today on Magic Online with Archangel of Thune in their Heliod deck.
Really?
And yeah, so
I like
Archangel
that card.
yeah, so you're already a Spike Feeder deck, right? And Spike Feeder Archangel of Thune is infinite life, and also all your guys get infinitely big, which is obviously very cool. And you already have like life gain thing going on. So
Yeah. No,
I thought that was cool.
I played like a season or two of Standard with Archangel Thunes in my sideboard, and I really enjoyed it. But let's go ahead and look at the standings in the tournament. We are through 5 rounds, and we have one of the human decks took a loss, so our undefeated players are Jamie Robertson, David Goldfarb, and Josh Feliciano. I believe we've seen all 3 of them on camera. 5-color humans, Mardu midrange, and Azorius Control are the top of the heap. And you can see there on your screen the rest of the top 16, all players who are 4-1, a variety of archetypes, including Dredge, which was one of the most represented decks in the tournament. And Eldrazi-tron was the other most represented deck. Will, where's Eldrazi-tron?
That's a good question. The masses, their brains just aren't large enough to cast Matter Reshaper properly. They just don't fully comprehend all the nuances. Very high IQ to understand Eldrazi-tron.
Now, just so the viewers are clear, the correct way to cast Matter Reshaper is with 4 mana floating, right?
Yeah, you just make Tron on turn 3. You leave your power plant and your mine. You put them to the side. I don't need these. I'll just tap my tower. Matter Reshaper. Here you go.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It does look like it did not have a great tournament so far, which is unfortunate. But it's cool. We got some cool decks. We got Mardu midrange at 5-0. That's very cool.
Yeah. No, we have. So yeah, we've seen that one. That was nice. We saw it beat Burn by very slim margins. We do have some interesting. So I don't even know what Naya midrange exactly is. I did lose a match over the last couple of days with Tron playing on Magic Online against a Naya Tribal Flames deck. Since the archetypes are self-submitted, this could be a aggro deck, but presumably if they chose mid-range, it's not hyper aggressive. Maybe if we don't get that player on camera, maybe we can bring the deck list up at some point this round or next round.
Oh, I'm actually familiar with this player. I think that I think it's basically Ponza splashing for like Nahiri. So basically like the green-red deck with like Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl, some Bloodbraid Elves, Lightning Bolts, just normal green-red mid-range, but splashing for Nahiri, because why would you not splash for white in your Bloodmoon deck,
Yeah, I mean, I had Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl. I also had an opponent this week play a turn 2 Jason Mind Sculptor without a blue land. Yeah, I was not happy
Sprawl, tap on tap, blue right there.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, great. This is probably it's probably like a singleton or Jason in your deck, and you just happen to throw it out on turn 2 in Modern, by the way. But whatever. Yeah. So definitely a variety of decks here, which is good to see. Modern, a fairly diverse format anyway, and especially the new season. Yeah, nothing jumping out at the top. So yeah, looks like we can have some more fun today. We got a couple. Let's see. Nothing stands out as being like there's not 3 of anything in that list. There's barely even 2 of a couple things. So that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of different archetypes, which is super awesome. Modern seems to be getting back to where it was before they printed all the Uro, Mystic Sanctuary, Field of the Dead stuff.
Yeah. So out of the 5, and maybe if we have the ban list slide available still, out of the 5, Will, what do you think was the most significant?
I think Uro was just a huge deal. So basically, Uro just had this like effect on the format where Uro and Field of Dead sort of go hand in hand, but Field of Dead had like a dual use in Perennial Titan decks, I guess. Like the Uro plus Field of the Dead thing, and then you would include Growth Spiral and Mystic Sanctuary. Like you do all of that. That was the best fair thing you could do. There was no incentive to play any other like kind of fair deck, right? Like you didn't want to play Jund because you'd have to play against Uro and Field of the Dead, which are just like Field of the Dead can solo you, Uro can solo you, no problem. And if they cast 1 Factor Fiction, they're casting 3 Factor Fictions.
I know. Then those Factor Fictions were insane.
Yeah, right.
So the round 6 is getting ready to go. So we're gonna have Nigel, Hagley, and Drew Christensen, Amulet versus Red. Let's go ahead and put deck lists up when they're ready. Here we have Nigel, Hagley. Now we talked earlier today how kind of the loss of Field of the Dead has basically eliminated the green-white Titan deck. And now players that want to keep playing those cards are shifting either into Amulet or into, Scapeshift. And so what do you think? You've played a lot with the green-white Amulet deck. The green-white Titan deck.
Yeah.
What stands out as like the differences between, at least how it plays out between the Amulet deck and the green-white Titan deck?
So the Amulet deck was traditionally a lot faster, but it was much more easily disruptible. So like a card like a Blood Moon or Leonin Arbiter or just like even a Stone Rain or Molten Rain or Fulminator Mage or whatever variant of that 3-mana kill a land effect was almost devastating. And you also had a much higher fail rate. You're going to go to 5 more often, and you're going to like draw 2 Amulet of Vigors and no Karus more often, right? And normally double Amulet is great, but like these decks normally play 8 or 9 Karus. And by Karus, I mean the 2-mana lands from Ravnica that pick themselves up and untap and whatnot. And so the incentives of the format were such that you wanted to be a little more stable, and because you were playing very long games anyway, you didn't really need to beat the combo decks. You didn't need to purge Perennial Titan on turn 3. You just needed to consistently have that end game. And so I prefer the green-white deck in that format, but obviously that's not an option anymore. So you need to sort of actually work for your Perennial Titans to be good. You don't just get to play all these utility lands and stuff. You have to like do some stuff here.
Basically we're back to the way we used to be a year or two in the past. Let's bring up the opponent, Drew Christensen, playing Red. Now Red is, all these lists are more or less the same. So Will, from the Titan perspective, how do you feel about this matchup?
If I was playing Amulet, I would feel pretty confident if I had a Radiant Fountain in my deck. I didn't note if Nigel did have a Radiant Fountain. If he does, though, what he's going to be able to do is he'll be able to assemble like a Zuza and a Karu, and he'll be able to bounce his Radiant Fountain over and over, gain a huge amount of life with it, usually by using Perennial Titan to tutor up the various pieces, summon it back, find an Azusa.
Let's go back real quick. I believe the earlier Amulet deck we looked at had one. I don't know if it was Nigel's list or not. Let's jump back real quick before you go into the match and see if there is a Radiant Fountain there, because it does affect the play patterns. There is.
You do have one. Okay, yeah, I think it's very normal to include a Radiant Fountain.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead and take us down to the match, and we'll get things kicked off here in round 6.
Okay.
And we'll watch from Nigel's perspective with Amulet Titan. And we've taken 1 mulligan, and this looks like a keep on 6.
Yeah, it's not the best hand, but we're on the play, and we can play turn 3 Azusa into turn 4 Titan. We don't even need to draw a Mana Source because we can Vesuva our Karu. We're just going to need to sequence our lands in such a way where our Azusa doesn't get bolted before we get all our land drops out of it.
Right. So what Will's talking about when he says that drawing Dryad might change things, but Will's talking about there is if a land trigger goes in the stack in the middle of your Azusa free land drops, it could get killed with the trigger before you can actually play the other land. So that's a common way to get disrupted. This double Goblin Guide start, though.
Look at the start from Drew. This is exactly what you want to see, right? It's just 2 Goblin Guides. If he was on the play, the game might even be over. But he's on the draw, and that Grazer is an incredible draw.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have all kinds of blockers here.
Yeah, so I think we're going to play Dryad, and then we'll probably play Crumbling Vestige, make green, and then our Boreal Grazer in something, if I had to guess. I guess you could play Azusa here. I prefer to play Dryad, I think, because I'd want to get the Valakut triggers next turn. And if they use 2 Lightning Bolts on it, you're still blocking and totally fine. And you have the requisite mana to cast your Titan anyway, so like having more isn't a huge deal, but maybe this way lets him haste his Titan, which is something that can be desirable, so...
Can you haste a Titan? It's pretty tough to haste a Titan without an amulet, right?
So if you have the what's it called? The red land from Shadows over Innistrad that flips Hanwar Garrison.
Yeah.
Then this Crumbling Vestige in hand actually gives him enough if he has 2 land drops, because he just gets to get Karoo and the haste land, and then he gets to replay it, and then he gets to play the red source, haste his Titan, and
okay. All right, so now the Riftbolt has to decide: are we going to kill? Okay, we are.
We're going to go after Azusa.
Yeah.
Well, Azusa's worth at least 2 life if Nigel wants it to be, and if it's not, it can be much scarier. Because okay, so we have Seer in place, so we just have to push both the Goblin guys through. And
another
down to
Riftbolt.
7.
Yeah. So okay, so we have 6 mana in place, so it's easily 7. Karn for Ensnaring Bridge isn't going to do anything.
No, we've got to go for Titan here.
Yeah, so we'll get Titan.
And we can't haste or anything here, but we can get Radiant Fountain, and we can get a Karoo, and we can replay the Radiant Fountain. We'll go to 11, and then we'll go to 8 off of the Riftbolt Unsuspend, and then 6 off the Goblin Guide, unless we have a Colony Guard, in which case we could block, but then we don't gain the 2 life back, so kind of a squeeze there. I think what it comes down to here is that Drew is going to need 2 burn spells here. And he's going to need them this turn.
Yeah. So here, like you were saying, Radiant Fountain, and it's just has to be present in the deck, and it's 4 life in scenarios like this, which is, well, we'll see, but likely the difference in the outcome.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal. Looks like Drew just has 2 burn spells here.
There's 2.
And that's game.
Done.
That was super, super close.
So that was the red deck playing as well as it could. Just everything, you used all its mana, everything went great. And Titan deck, not bad, but just not fast. And that was the difference.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I remember before Field of the Dead was printed, Amulet was actually reaching a stage where like most modern decks could reasonably compete with just, if you didn't have Amulet, you would just Primeval Titan for a Talaria West and a Synchro Chamber, and then you would play another 6/6. It's like a 6/6 every turn. It's nothing to sneeze at, right? But it's not game ending a lot.
Yeah.
And they lost that insane endgame with Field of the Dead. They do have Dryad now, so it's not exactly the same. But you can see, like, if we had Field of the Dead that game, obviously we had 3 Synchro Chambers in play, but I feel like Nigel would have sequenced his lands differently with the field in mind, or built his deck differently or something.
Yeah,
sort of
and the Goblin guys
never got through. Game. Yeah, we block, stabilize that game. We get to untap with our Titan. We get to bounce our Radiant Fountain, and we probably win easily. But it didn't play out like that because they banned Field of the Dead, which is one of my problems with Amulet in general right now. But we'll see if Nigel's able to prove me wrong. Maybe take down this event.
So one of your problems with Amulet right now is what, that it doesn't have the go wide late game, or when you say what are your problems right now, what do you mean with not having Field of the Dead?
Yeah, I think Field of the Dead did too much for the deck. I think that it relied on Field of the Dead quite a bit, and just doing what it used to do of just like chaining Primeval Titans is not really as on par with the format as it should be, I guess.
Sure.
This draw is pretty good for Nigel, though. We have an Amulet.
Right. So we see a 7-card keep of 5 land Explorer and an Amulet, and if you were just showing this hand to someone, from 15 years ago that wasn't experienced, they would be like, "What? How is this a keep? This is nothing." But this is not nothing at all, is it? No.
No. As a matter of fact, if Nigel draws a Primeval Titan off this Explorer, it's coming into play this turn because the double Amulet makes the Explorer ritual. I like picking up the Gemstone Mine there. That's tight. Okay, so now we get to play Talaria West, tap it, untap it twice, transmute, and we're good for Titan next turn with the double Amulet. That second Amulet was such a good draw.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that happens, and people just hate this deck because it's just so unfair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Drew's going to be able to even do next turn, because Perennial Titan's going to come down. It's going to have haste. It's going to have +4/+0. Going to maybe have double strike. Okay, smash Smithereens. That's good. Keeps we'll keep. Oh man, the top of Nigel's deck is just delivering, huh? We had a really slow hand, but we drew the second Amulet, the Tolaria West, and this Obstinate Baloth, so things have gone pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean, without the Smash Smithereens, Drew was dead.
Yeah.
So this is an improvement, I guess. Your opponent playing Ravenous Baloth, or Obstinate Baloth, I mean.
It's not as bad as it could be, but this is turn 3 Baloth on the play, ready for turn 4 Titan. You're sitting at 18 life with a nice board against burn. Like a good chunk of cards in Drew's hand are likely just Lava Spikes and like whatnot, and those don't really do anything.
No. Yeah, so looks like game 3 maybe incoming in about, I'm going to ballpark it, 70 seconds. So,
yeah, it's something like that sounds about right. The only decision left maybe not the only decision left, but one of the main decisions left that Nigel's going to have is whether or not he wants to play around 2 bolts on his Primeval Titan. I'm not sure how much mana he can make here. I guess he's stuck with exactly 6. But I guess he'll get Krueger Radiant and just pick up Tolaria West. So even if this Primeval Titan were to die or get Path to Exiled or something, he can then just play another one. But now there's no mana. Okay, we brought in Rex Sage, which can target the Eidolon, I suppose. But I assume we're just going to go for Primeval Titan here, and then we'll give it haste, and then we'll get Radiant Fountain and probably Karoo, probably Synchro Chamber, if I had to guess. We'll be at 16 life because we have to take 2 off the Eidolon, but that's not a big deal. We have to gain it back with the Radiant, so.
All right, so basically everything Will just said is going to play out now in real time at a slightly slower speed than he described it.
Yeah, he did some good clicking on Magic Online.
Yeah. So Titan comes in. Are we going to bother gaining life? Not yet. Right, we're going to just get the haste land and the red-white land.
Yep, we get to get haste in combat here with our second Titan trigger. And then Drew also is under Eidolon. He can jump block with it. Primeval Titan has trample, so... Yeah.
What? How does Obstinate Baloth not attack there? What's going on?
Yeah, you're probably supposed to ship with the Baloth, but also I don't really know how you lose this game. I guess the main way you lose is deflecting Palm, so we have to be conscious of that, I guess, is probably the only thing that we have to think about. I don't actually know if Drew has them in his deck list. But if
I think, I mean, Nigel, he couldn't screw this up if he wanted to, I don't think.
No,
I mean,
there's nothing.
He could miss on the Primeval Titan trigger and it wouldn't matter.
Okay, there's 1 Palm in Drew's deck list, so Nigel will have to be conscious of that next turn.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have preferred to get Synchro Chamber and pick up this Tolaria West, but
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Well, okay. We do still have the green-white Karoo, so we can recur the West if we need to. If there are 2 bolts of the Titan here, that will slow things down, I guess. But because of the other Tolaria West, it's really not going to matter anyway.
Yeah, actually, if the Titan does get double bolted, we can't get blue and pick up the T West because we didn't get a Synchro Chamber. So technically that could do something, but this is just going to take so many resources from Drew, and he's just at 2. He can't even cast any more spells as long as Nigel doesn't kill the Eidolon. So
right. So as long as just block there, and then
we have as much time in the world.
Obstinate Baloth does not have to. Well, I guess Reclamation Stage can just kill the Eidolon.
I would just not even kill the Eidolon. I would just sit here and do nothing.
I mean, Nigel could just sit here and never cast anything until he has 3 cards left in his deck if he wanted to, because there's nothing Drew could do about it.
Yeah, Drew gets to attack with the Eidolon, and Nigel can't block, but I guess, we just get to do this, and it's actually just lethal, so it's fine.
All right, so that was a butt kicking, if there ever, both of those games, really.
Yeah, I mean, 2 very lopsided.
Smashed, but Burn on the play in game 3. Now, you like Amulet for the match.
I do.
For a single game on going second, is Amulet still favored? That's a bigger ask, I feel like.
A single post-board game on the draw, it's going to be close, but Drew has Smash Smithereens, which is a big deal. Obviously, it's a little narrow, but one of the ways the best ways for Amulet to keep up with the speed of burn is to just have an Amulet, right?
Yeah.
Just playing like we saw what a no Amulet draw looks like from Amulet in game 1, and Nigel got rolled. He was on the play. He had a turn 3 Azusa plus a Grazer and died. He played a turn 4 Titan, still died. No Amulet. And so I like that Drew brought them in because Amulet is one of Nigel's main paths to victory. It's a little little narrow.
Well, there it is. There is the Amulet. Yeah. There is a Wormcoil engine, which implies that the Karns were boarded out, which makes sense as they're a little slow for the matchup, probably.
Makes a ton of sense.
And not a creature on turn 1, which is a bad sign for Drew.
Yeah, it looks like he kept 7, though, so I assume he's got something rolled up. Maybe a Smash Mid Range for this Amulet, maybe an Eidolon of the Great Revel. And this keep is a little slow here because it's so risky to... Okay, what was your second Amulet? So just kidding. But if we
is that the key? Is that what happens? Like, just
I guess, yeah.
I mean, you just both games, the words were coming out of your mouth. Oh, this is a little slow. This
okay, there's second Amulet. So that's not the worst. So yeah, Nigel's thinking about packing for Azusa or something here. I think that would be really bad because we're gonna have to play one of these lands. They all enter tap because we don't have a forest. And so there will be a trigger on the stack because of the Amulet already in play. If the Azusa dies, we cannot pay for our pack trigger, and we lose the game on the spot. I think once our opponent has kept 7 and has not played a creature on 1, I think it is unacceptable to die to a Lightning Bolt, a Searing Blaze, a Lightning Helix, or any way to kill a 1/2. Maybe you can get Dryad here, and maybe not a Double Bolt. Maybe that's okay. Okay, so we're just going to pass, and then we're going to Wormcoil Engine next turn. I think that's a good play. And then we'll just say, Drew, can you beat a Wormcoil Engine on turn 3? The answer is probably not. Probably not with a Goblin Guide on turn 1 at least. Or Monsters the Spear or something.
This is the scenario that comes up in Classic Tron also, is can you beat a Wormcoil Engine on turn 3? And sometimes they can.
Yeah, no, they can. Chaining Skullcrack or something can be good. It's
tough when you don't have a creature on the board to pressure, push damage through. Okay, so we're
going to pack for Grazer? Oh, if we pack for Grazer, we can Titan now. Oh, that's actually great. Let's do that. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Oh, if he has Smash Smithereens, do we actually lose though? We lose on the spot about Smash?
That. I was thinking about whether there's a scenario where you would hold Smash to try and get them to commit something, and I passed on it as being just not all that realistic.
Don't get Azusa. If you get Azusa, you're gonna die. Okay. Now we're dead. Oh no, we can pact again for Grazer and do that, and then we have to pay for 2 pack. Okay, I think we might have killed ourselves.
All right, so the way we would kill ourselves is to not have double green during the upkeep. Now we can't pact for Grazer. We can't pact for another. Then we need 8 mana upkeep, and that's not going to happen. Yeah, so
I think we may have just died.
We can't play the Azusa because we're short of mana.
Yeah, so we have to pact for Grazer here, right? Because anything else just involves us dying.
Okay.
So Grazer makes 4, gives us 6.
If we can't get 8. If we pact for Grazer, but we can't get. If we pact for Grazer and then even deploy all our lands, we can only get 3 green.
Yeah, and we can't get the kill here with the Sunhome because the Sunhome's in play. So that.
Okay, so that one.
Cool.
That's also something that happens. People botch games from time to time. Now, and we're in a fresh format. Maybe Nigel picked up this deck. Maybe he started playing Modern with a green-white Titan deck and was like, okay, I'm supposed to transition to. I like Titans. I'll transition to Amulet. Haven't really played Amulet before. This is the first event, and sometimes things don't quite get calculated right, and
mistakes happen. You do the math in your head, and there is a world where Drew does die there, where we can not draw the Sunhome, and also he doesn't have a removal spell for the Azusa or whatever. I didn't do all the math to see if we could get Dryad to play around a Lightning Bolt or something, but clearly there was some miscounting that happened, and we drew the Boros Garrison and Sunhome, so no real way to do that.
Yeah, but unfortunate way for that one to end up for Nigel, but for I believe his second loss. We do not have a second match for this round, unfortunately, but we do have some deck lists for players who are 5-0. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. We have the humans, Jamie Robertson, 5-0 with humans today.
Yeah.
And
that's very nice.
Yeah, a pair of General Kudros and really no other cards printed in the last, I don't know, couple years probably, but still holding strong.
Plague Engineer is something we got Apparitions in the sideboard.
Yeah.
Apparitions are
the sideboard has some newer cards.
Yeah, that's a nice little pickup over. People would play Deputy of Attention in this deck, which isn't even a human. You just wanted that effect. You wanted like the versatile creature O-ring that you could violin. And Speculative Apparition is way better than Deputy of Attention. Like they never get it back. They can't. They kill it. They get a token. Like that's much better.
Yeah, we did see the humans deck play against Dredge earlier today, and this there's a decent amount of graveyard hate. This deck seems like it's got a lot of things covered here. It's still one Damping Sphere. I would say, as a Tron player, I would say one Damping Sphere is maybe not enough in a matchup that you're really not great in anyway. But
probably a dog to Tron.
Yeah,
depends on how good your draw is, I guess, and if you win the die roll.
I mean, Gag Teagues are nice also, but yeah, this True. We saw humans handle Dredge pretty cleanly earlier. And yeah, obviously 5-0. He's handling everything. Can we bring up Jamie Robertson's path through the tournament so far? Do we have that available? I'm not sure that we do. Okay, we can't do that at the moment. But yeah, I mean, humans has always been a solid deck, and proving it again today in the current format. We have also we can look at the Mardu Pyromancer deck that's 5-0. Is this the same player we saw earlier? It is David Goldfarb.
Love this deck. I can't imagine it's actually very good, but
why would you say that?
Super. Well, I mean, we still have the same problems that we've had in Modern, where your clock is kind of slow and like you're still playing dorky, lingering souls and stuff, and people are still going to be trying to Valakut you. People are still play with Urza's Tower, But it's cool. It's very cool. I'm a big fan. Looks like a lot of fun, and I'm happy that David is 5-0 because this deck looks awesome, and I'd love to see him in the top 8 with this very cool Mardu deck.
Yeah, Seasoned Pyromancer is a card that it's like a 2/2, and maybe it makes some tokens, like whatever, and then every time you play against it, like, this is so annoying.
Insane, because these decks are so good at just trading resources one for one, and then you both have nothing, and then you have Seasoned Pyromancer. And then they drew 2 cards. They chump block your guy, and then they flash it back. And they chump block your guy twice more, and then it's just so good. It is kind of a strain on your mana base, but this is a Triome color set here, so we get to play with Savai Triome, so it's a little better there.
Yeah. All right, and then our third undefeated player is the blue-white control deck, Rosh Feliciano, who we saw earlier, the Planeswalker powered blue-white control that's really not doing anything fancy.
Yeah, this deck looks pretty normal, just a little blue-white action. It's kind of interacting and doing something kind of strong. You're not really proactive, which is where I would prefer to be in a new open format, but it seems to be going well for Josh. And this deck looks like it's strong. Pretty normal-ish blue-white control. Maybe 2 Narsets that aren't really normal. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Nothing jumps out at me looking at this deck. It's just winning. So
Josh is probably playing well and beating some people, probably running decently well too.
Those are our 3 undefeated players in the event. We do now have Jamie Robertson's path to the tournament, so let's bring it up. I don't know we'll learn too much from it because he's been crushing everything, but we can see he played against Boggles, Dredge, I believe that's the one we watched, Titan Shift, Amulet Titan, and Tron. So he's played against several big mana decks.
Yeah, a lot of big mana, beating it all. Very cool.
And like I was saying that I thought, Tron would probably be favored against them. And well, that may or may not be true, but Jamie was able to beat it in round 5.
Yeah, looks like he was able to get the W over 3 big mana decks with both variants of Primeval Titan that are left, Titan Shift and Amulet, and then Tron also. And beating Boggles is impressive. Boggles is really redundant and good at just making like a big guy and putting a Daybreak Coronet on it, which is
that's true. Yeah, I would imagine.
Flicker Mage that, you know? Like,
right. And you're just, I mean, you could chump block it for a number of turns, but if the Boggo Flicker's gaining 20 life overall, it's,
right. If they're just at 60, like you're not really and it has vigilance, so like you can't really do much there.
So that match went again. We would ideally, from a coverage perspective, we would prefer every feature match to last 48 minutes.
Yeah,
right. But that doesn't always work out. This one is done with, so we're gonna step away for a couple minutes, get things reset, and see how the tournament's looking, and we'll